Hey everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media, and the Blu-ray and 4K reviews just keep coming this month here. And this time around, I am looking at the latest Visual Vengeance release, one of the two latest anyway. This is 2006's Lycan Colony, and this is spine number 11 from Visual Vengeance. They did send this over my way for review, so I cannot wait to talk about it because this movie, oh my god, I've never seen something quite like this before. So let's do it. Before we get into all that though, if you do have a quick second, go ahead and hit that like button down below. That engagement really does help me out. But with that said, let's not waste any more time at all. Let's dive right into my review of Lycan Colony. Alright, so let's take a look at the packaging by Visual Vengeance. They always do an excellent job. One of my favorite companies in terms of their packaging. I mean, frankly, one of my favorite companies overall. But anyway, let's take a look here. Some more original artwork on the inside, which looks awesome. And popping it open, I think this is really where it shines. So let's start with this here. An air freshener, a Lycan Colony air freshener. Like, that is so cool. I love the random unique things they put inside their releases. Then we have the stickers, which we always get, and something else that's always included. I have a hard time getting it out, but it is the poster. It's this poster, just in a, it's this print, just in a bigger size. And then there is also a 4-page booklet in here as well with some more original artwork and the inside and the back there. So that is our pamphlet this time around. But my favorite, oh, here, and here's the disc artwork as well, same as the slipcover art. You guys know what my favorite part is though, and that's flipping this cover around to see what the reversible cover art looks like. And that's always how mine lives. So I will show you guys this here. That is our reversible Blu-ray sleeve. It's so ugly and I love it so much. It's just so ridiculous. So yeah, that is the reversible cover art and they go with orange on the back there. But yeah, it's just wonderfully hideous. I love it. And all the different fonts also, which if you watch this movie, the opening credits have like a million different fonts. It's hilarious. But anyway, that is what Lycan Colony looks like. Another great job by Visual Vengeance. Alright, so let's get into the movie itself here, and I'm not going to bury the lead. This, for me, is right up there with something like Troll 2 as the best, worst movie I've ever seen. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of The Room. I've only seen it once, and maybe I just wasn't in the right mood for it, but like, it's fine, it is what it is, but I didn't love that one like I loved the Troll 2. And Birdemic, that's another one I thoroughly enjoyed, but Lycan Colony, it might be the new king of the bad. This is unlike anything, frankly, I've seen before. Even with something like Troll 2 and Birdemic, like, this just feels so different than those in such a ridiculous way. So, Lycan Colony, we are following, our main character is this disgraced doctor. Turns out he is an alcoholic and he ended up killing someone as they were in for brain surgery. And so he gets fired and moves away to this small town with his wife and his kid. And turns out they've moved into this city. I think it's like or something that's like cannibal related. I can't remember what it's called, but they move into this new city and it turns out the whole city is occupied by werewolves, by Lycans. And that's basically the whole thing, is them trying to survive these werewolves. And so that's as basic as the storyline gets, but it's not. I mean, this is an awful movie. Let me just say it right up. It's an awful movie, but I admire what is done here so much. So this one is from 2006, directed by Rob Roy, and I'd never heard of it before, but I guess this one went viral a handful of years ago thanks to Riff Tracks, which, not to spoil my special features talk, the full version of the Riff Tracks version is on this release, which is pretty cool. And so that's, I think, what helped it go viral and helped get an audience behind it. But I'd never heard of it, let alone seen it before. And so for me, it just came out of nowhere. I didn't really know what to expect. But usually with the Visual Vengeance releases, there will be maybe one or two actors that you can point to and say, yeah, that they know what they're doing. Like they know how to act. And then the rest might be just like friends or family. This time though, I mean, there's virtually nobody in this that is a good actor whatsoever. Our main character, like the doctor, he is hilarious. Like his line delivery, it's so flat. He talks so fast, which I know that's the pot calling the kettle black there, but he has this thick accent as well. And so he's just like hard to hear at times with the way he talks.
Well, we really didn't move here because I had a revelation of being a small town doc.
Your father has a drinking problem.
One day at a time and all that.
The teenage son in this movie is just, it's literally like I asked one of my friends from high school, hey, do you want to be in a movie? And they said, yeah, but they have no idea how to act. Like, it was just the absolute worst you could ever imagine. But that's the charm, right? Like, that's what makes this fun to watch.
And you'll cut me into bits and separate them far enough from each other so I'll never piece them together. Okay?
Glad you remember.
Let's go.
Not only is the acting just atrocious, the writing in this is all over the place. It's not words that humans would say. Like, maybe it works on paper, but it's not actually, like, the things these characters are saying are not things that, like, real people would say for the most part. And so it's just so funny seeing the actors try to make the best of this and make it work. But, like, they're clearly not actors. And so it's absurd. And it's like, you have to see this movie. So if we take the acting and the writing and put that aside, we have to talk about two other aspects of this film that really stood out to me. Number one are the visual effects. Now, Rob Roy talks about in the special features how this was his very first film. He didn't really know how to do any of this stuff. He was just trying to do it the best that he could. And it was, back in the mid 2000s. So the tracking and the stuff that they're working on then isn't quite what we're working on today. So doing some of these things is just a lot more difficult, and he just doesn't have the know-how. So a great example of this is at one point there's a guy who has a tattoo on the back of his neck, and the tattoo is literally shaking. It's moving in the frame. Instead of using a temporary tattoo or a permanent marker or something like that, he decides to add this tattoo in post, and it is absolutely hilarious. On top of that, there are moments where instead of just going out and filming like a speed sign or a road sign, they do it with CGI. It looks so absurd. There are moments where this film, in the second half of the film, where it's clearly filmed in the woods, right? Like they went out to the woods, they filmed, they set up lights and so on. But then it switches back and forth. So I don't know if they needed like pickup shots or what. I mean, frankly, some of the stuff they're getting doesn't feel like it's just pickup shots. Like, they're jumping back and forth to Blu-ray. On top of all of that, the best part of this, especially when we get to the second half, has to be the editing. This is no personal attack at Rob Roy whatsoever, but it is as if when Roy was editing this, he'd never seen another film before and didn't have any idea how to put scenes together to make a consistent film. There is no thought paid to any continuity or anything like that. And I mean that so far as from person A walking from point A to point B. He'll just jump, or she'll just jump, and they'll be together. Or they're going to wrap a rope around someone's hands. They go to do it, and then the next shot, literally just a quick jump cut, it's on. And they're having another conversation. Like, there is just no rhyme or reason behind why these cuts were made, why just the choices were made. And it makes such an utterly bizarre film that I had an absolute blast watching. I laughed more in this film than I have in any of the other Visual Vengeance releases combined. This was absolutely hilarious. Now, obviously when Rob Roy set out to make the movie, he wasn't trying to make a bad movie, right? But what he has here is just so bad that it's so fun. This is the perfect film. If I was ever invited somewhere to show a bad film, this is the one I'm choosing. Over Troll 2, over Birdemic, over The Room, I'm showing Lycan Colony. Just kind of the overall lack of like ability at that point in his life, in his career, to put together a film is insane. Like, it is overwhelming. And yet, he persisted. And yet, he released this film. That is remarkable. If it was me, I would have quit back in scene 1 when things weren't coming together, but he continued. And it kills me because when this movie released, right, it released in 2006 and he did a premiere for it and everything. And then he started receiving hate mail from people that was super negative. Because of that hate that he was receiving, he got out of being creative for about 15 years. And it was only recently when Lycan Colony kind of took off, it went viral, that he started getting into that creative realm again. That said, there are 2 books based on Lycan Colony, and I absolutely must read them now because I find that absolutely fascinating. Like, that is just so cool. And he talks about in the special features how he would love to do like a remake of this or just like a soft reboot or something to give himself another chance at it because now he's grown. He knows how to do a lot more things than he did back in 2006 when he was just a kid trying to do this. It is remarkable. This film is remarkable in every single aspect because of how just incompetent the entire thing is. And I love it. I had more fun with this movie than I think I have with any Visual Vengeance release. It is not going to be for everyone. If you don't enjoy bad movies and you just look at them and think, why am I wasting my life with this when I haven't seen Casablanca, I haven't seen Gone with the Wind, whatever, right? Like, there's all these movies that we haven't seen yet. We're spending time with this. What's the point? Sometimes you just got to put something on to have some fun. And that's exactly what this is. So I laughed so hard. I had such a good time with this terrible, terrible film. I highly recommend it for people of the same mind. So I mean, giving Lycan Colony a star rating is absolutely silly. I'm going to give it half a star out of 5 because it's as bad as they come. But I loved it. Like, I had so much fun with it, and I will absolutely be watching this again in the future. So that's my thoughts on Lycan Colony. Let's jump over now to the disc itself. All right, so Lycan Colony is just like all of the other Visual Vengeance releases that I talk about. They are using the best available material that they have at their disposal. It doesn't talk about what they're using here, but because it was from 2006, you'd have to assume digital cameras probably were at play here. That said, I will make note on the back, it does list a 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio, a full screen aspect ratio. That is not the case. I put this on 2 different players, my 4K player and my Blu-ray player, and it is a widescreen presentation on both. So that is just an error on the back of the box. A much smaller error is it lists the movie at 90 minutes. It's only about 88 minutes. Again, that you could just round up. I totally understand. I wouldn't even consider that an error, but I wanted to point it out since it was listed on the back here. As they do with all their releases, they have the warning at the beginning that says, hey, this is the best we could really do. And honestly, like, I mean, you're not going to see everything that you want to see because some of the scenes are just very dark. But again, that's not Visual Vengeance's fault. That's just the way the movie was filmed. It was like a dark bedroom where they were filming, dark outside. You just can't see much of anything in some of the scenes. That just happens. That said, for the majority of the film, I could see what was going on. I had no problem with it. The picture quality is not good by any stretch, but again, that's kind of the charm of this. That's kind of the appeal of this. So even though it's on Blu-ray, if you were to watch this on DVD, you probably would have the exact same picture quality here. And then in terms of the audio, totally fine. It is a stereo 2.0 track, nothing to really write home about, nothing to really talk about in it. I was able to hear the dialogue. There were some moments where it did get quieter, as I've talked about on some of their other releases. Maybe they could have cranked it up a little bit in those moments, but really, I mean, it was fine for what it was. And again, it all kind of plays into what Lycan Colony is and why you're likely watching the movie. So though it's a Blu-ray release, you're probably going to get the same experience if you watch this one on DVD, for better or worse. Moving over to the special features, which is really one of the main reasons to pick up Visual Vengeance releases. This one, as I mentioned already, at least I think I did, this has the riff tracks version of the film. Now, I'll be honest, going into this, I didn't really know what that was. I just know Mystery Science Theater 3000, right? You have the little guys at the bottom of the screen and they have little skits in between and all that. I thought maybe it was the same thing, but it's really just a commentary track. But that said, I believe it's by like the same people who did Mystery Science Theater 3000, at least back in the day. And so it's genuinely funny. Like, I don't watch a lot of MST T3K. I'm just gonna say Mr. Random Theory. I don't watch a lot of that, and I've never watched any riff tracks. I was laughing out loud, like genuinely laughing at a lot of moments as I was watching this. It was a ton of fun. But again, it's really just an audio commentary track that has a quick intro and cuts out about 15 minutes of the movie. So just keep that in mind. It's not the full film. It cuts out about 15 minutes, but it's hilarious. So I think it's absolutely a great special feature to have on here. On top of that, there is a commentary track with the director, Rob Roy. It's a solo commentary track. It was fine for the little bit that I listened to, but again, it's a solo track, so those get a little less lively than one might like. And then the other audio commentary track is with Sam Panico of BNS About Movies and Billy Van Ryn of Drive-In Asylum, and that one was pretty decent as well. I listened to a little bit more of that one. They at points go on about like their favorite werewolf movies, so it's not always about what we're watching specifically on screen, but about, you know, kind of the genre as a whole at some points. But again, I think they do a nice job. They keep each other going the entire time, so kudos to them on their work on this one. And then there is a blooper reel. It's about 3 to 4 minutes. It's exactly what you expect it to be. The cast on this, I feel like if I was the director, I'd have been so annoyed because he would say action and they would just do a bit, and it's like, nah, can we just move forward here? But anyway, I'm sure, you know, they had fun with it, which is what matters. And then, oh my gosh, how have I not talked about the music in this film? That's the other thing. Not only is Rob Roy doing like these visual effects, he's editing the film, he's directing the film, but he also created some original music for the movie. And one of these on here is in the Lycan Colony music video, and it's really like the main theme of the film. It's what you get when you put on the Blu-ray disc. That's what's playing over the menus. That's the word. And it is, I think it's called Devour, if I'm not mistaken. And it is very mid-2000s, like metal-ish. Like, it is great. I loved it. And so the music video is very much like the film itself. It's all filmed in front of a blue screen, and it's so silly. But if you like the music, you'll get a kick out of it. Some of the music in this is great, like the music that they've created for it. Some of the other music is so out of place in this film. It's just hilarious. But again, it adds to the charm of the film as a whole. So I think that covers everything that was on here. Yeah, then of course the couple of trailers as well, but that's about it. So a really well done special feature set here. The real shining point of this has to be the riff tracks inclusion though. I thought that was just a really cool thing to add. There are less interviews on this. There's one interview with the director, which I don't think I mentioned. That is in there. That's about 22 minutes. But other than that, you're really just getting the riff tracks and the audio commentary tracks on this one. But still, I think it's definitely worthwhile. Lycan Colony is a film that is going to appeal to a very niche audience. But if you're like me and you're a part of that, you cannot find a more fun film to laugh with than Lycan Colony. If you're getting together with a group of friends, or even if you were like me sitting in my chair by myself, I was laughing my butt off throughout this because it was so just like, I had a hard time fathoming how something like this gets made and then how it ends up on Blu-ray through my favorite anti-boutique label. Like, how does this happen? And it's fate, right? Like, power to Rob Roy. I'm so happy that, you know, hearing him talk about how much negativity he went through for this, and then the turnaround when this thing went viral, it's just a feel-good story. Good for him. He was able to create something that, frankly, people are talking about today. Plenty of films were made back in 2006 that no one cares about, no one talks about. This one, though, I am very happy to talk about, and I will champion this to anyone looking for the best bad movie. Lycan Colony is right up there. Frankly, it probably overtakes Troll 2 and Birdemic for me. I loved this. So much fun. If you are of that mentality, check out this movie. If you're not, you'd rather watch something that's competent, steer somewhere else. Like, this is not for you at all. So I am going to give Lycan Colony from Visual Vengeance 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right, so those were my thoughts on Spine number 11 from Visual Vengeance. Now, that said, Spine number 12 also came out the same day. Vampires and Other Stories, as you can see, like I said, Spine number 12. Check back next week for my thoughts on that one. Cannot wait to dive into that. But let me know down in the comments below, does Lycan Colony sound like something you might want to pick up? I would love to hear what you're thinking down there. I know it's not cheap. It's going to be over $20 for what is just utter trash, but boy, it's the best kind of trash in my opinion. So let me know if you're planning on picking this one up and your thoughts on anything else down in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. Let me know what your favorite bad movie is. I would love to hear that also down there. But with that said, guys, that is going to do it. So thank you so much for checking out this video. Before you go, if you could hit that like button, that really does help me out. And like I always say, I don't just talk movies, I talk all things media, books, movies, video games, graphic novels. If it's media related, I'm interested in it. And if you are too, you might consider subscribing. All right. Thank you again for checking this review out. I really do appreciate it. And a big thank you to Visual Vengeance for sending this over my way. Before you go though, I just want to encourage you to consume some media today, even if it's as bad as Lycan Colony. I'll catch you guys next time.